everyone, I'm going to show you how we put the little elf together. You see these little red dots, you will need those. There's a for the gloves, and the middle one is the middle of the belt buckle that you won't need, but the other ones you'll need. So when you cut, you're going to have the white, you see the white piece that I have there, that is the center of the elf. I suggest using heavy cardstock for that one because it'll make it sit up a lot nicer and easier to work with, and you'll attach all the fronts and the backs to that piece. You only need to cut one for the little elf. So I went ahead and I applied all the little foam dots to the little white guy so that I could start attaching the body. So now I'm going to start attaching the hat, and I use the top of it to guide where it needs to go so it'll cover the white. And just carefully place it on there. Don't press it down until you're ready and sure it's in the place that you want it. So when I make these, I make them so that they're 3D. So like if the hat in the normal course of things would be out further than your face, I'll do that design another layer. So that kind of judges how many layers I use in my projects. I'm doing here, which I know, and I'm going to tell you right now that I'm not even following my own rules, but I want you to, is you should put the little foam dots on the back of what you're laying on top of the other, just in case you put it in the wrong spot. Then you have to move it. Sometimes they tear and can cause you problems, but so don't do what I did. Do as I say, not as I do. These little particular dots are really sticky, so you'll see me struggling with them a little bit to get the plastic parts off the top, and they stick to your fingers and all kinds of good stuff. But they are very good and sturdy, so they will hold your project together very well. So once you're happy with where everything is, see I patted it down a little bit stronger so that it would stay. So next one is front, and I'll use the ears to guide where I want, where the face needs to be to cover the white. And then use the foam dots. Try to get them not too close to the edge so you won't see them, but you definitely need them on some of the smaller areas so that the smaller areas don't cave in. So I use the ears, like I said before, to guide where the face goes, because on top of the face you're going to put the band over the hat, and there's 2 layers of that. Now I use textured cardstock for the band, and a tip is to always cut the textured cardstock on the back because it's smoother. If you cut it on the front, it tends to get caught up in the Cricut and it'll rip and tear. But then remember to mirror it as well, unless you don't mind using the back for your project to show through the front. And for the hat, I used a green glitter cardstock that does not have a green back. It has a white back, so I had to mirror one of the hat layers for the back. So keep that in mind whenever you're using a cardstock that doesn't have a back. You probably most likely will need to mirror it when you're doing the layered projects. So on the body, one arm is kind of up in the air a little more than the other, so it is a little bit longer, so just be aware of that when you're cutting it. I had to mirror the back because it is the green glitter cardstock, so I had to make sure that I'm using the right one on the front and the right one on the back. So there's two of the hat, two of the bands, two of the little pom-poms that go on the end of the hat. There's only one face for the front and one face for the back. There's two of the collars. So sometimes these littler pieces are harder to layer and get those little foam dots in. If you need to cut them, you can cut them with scissors or with a craft knife. And you can also assemble those before you put them on, so you don't have to do one at a time on the elf itself. You can do them off to the side and then just attach the whole group together to the front. So I accidentally put the foam dots on the wrong side of that one. No big deal though, because I can use that for the back, but always test it first before you put the dots on. For this one, if I had to pull all those off, I probably would have to recut that piece. Oh, he's starting to take shape a little bit. Now I'm going to put his little face on, and instead of using foam dots or anything like that, when there's something so small, I use tacky glue and to attach it. I've tried glue stick, I've tried other things, and it just they don't stick very well. So tacky glue has always been a good source for me. So that's what I use to attach these things together. So it probably would have been better to use tweezers at this point. You know, when you're working with glue, it tends to get all over your resin, especially with things so small like that. Anyways, what I did was I just put a glob on the one eye, transferred some over to the other eye, and then just stick them in there. So when you're placing these on the elf, you want the eyes to be a little closer together, give them that sweet little look, and then when you put the mouth on, it's going to be kind of over to the side, like a little crooked mouth. It just gives them a little more character. So there, this gives a little cute little face. And then I just have one little nose. Like I said before, when it's 3D, the nose will stick out further on the face. So there's this cute little face. So for the red tights, there's two things that you can do. After I put this together, I realized that I probably would have done this a little differently. I used the foam dots and the back, and they fit well within the parameters of the stockings. But I wanted my elf's legs to just kind of hang over the side of the shelf, and I kind of wanted to give it that crinkle effect by doing a fan fold on it. With the foam dots, it became a little more challenging. So I had originally put the foam dots on the front and the back and realized that putting them on the front was okay, but on the back you want to glue them because it made it awkward to try to bend the legs at all. So you can either put the foam dots on the front only or glue the front and the back, and then you can do a fan fold or use a pencil and make them curve a little more than using the foam dots on them. So I'm just going to speed this up a little bit to get through this part. So now he's all put together on the front, except for the glove juice. So I'll go ahead and start attaching those. So the glove, the red squares that I was telling you about before will fit over and make the cuffs of the shirt to go over the mittens or gloves. So the little foam dots fit okay on the back of those. They're about the same size. A little tedious with little, with little pieces like this, so tweezers would come in handy, but if you have fingernails, that works too. They're a little tricky to get them on there, but once you get them on there, they'll be fine. So you'll do that on both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and turn them over and work on the back now before I put the shoes on. So like I told you before, I had mirrored this piece because there's no glitter on the other side, and now I'm correctly putting on the foam dots onto the hat first so I can put them onto the body. Now there's only one hat on the back, not a lot of layers on the back. I do want to point out one thing about the back. The hat on the back is longer than the one in the front. Normally a hat would be. And I also want to point out that you can see the little white sides of the center of the elf. I have corrected that since I did this video, so you won't have that problem. You won't see those white sides underneath the hat peeking through the back of the band. Remember to use the ears as a guide for putting on the face. And his little face is going to tuck underneath the hat, so wait to put the band on till last. So you see those little white spots on the end of the ears, right where my fingers are. And now I'm going to go ahead and, well, I should have put the shirt down first. So again, another mistake, but you know, we all make mistakes, but easily corrected. That's why I don't press anything down too hard until I'm satisfied, so that I can lift it off without tearing the paper. So it's all put together and he's ready for his belt and shoes. So the little red piece just goes on top of the black, and I just used a little bit of glue to put it down. And then glued the black to the green glitter of his shirt using the tacky glue. And then just the back of the belt goes on the other side, and then just kind of gauge where you put the front so that they line up okay on the back. So I just lifted it up on the side so I could see where it was, so I can put it approximately in the same place. There you go. And then his shoes are pretty self-explanatory. I did one on the back, and so here I'm showing you there's a little flap that came with it. If you want your elf to be flat, you don't have to add this piece, but if you want to have him sitting on a shelf, you'll need to add this little piece. And I just glued it down to the back, but you could tape it. You don't make it 3D, so it just needs to be flat. It's just extending the back so that he has something to sit down with. And then I'm gluing the red parts back on, and then just working with the little guy to make him sit better. Now I'm on his little booties, and like I said before, it's 2 on the front, 2 in the back. And the little stockings just fit right inside the little grooves for the boots. So I just added all of the little booties, front and back. And then he sat up nicely. And here's the little guy. I hope you enjoy making the little elf, and you can see the blog information up on top there to get the file. You like watching these videos? I sure hope so. And we have a new thing coming out. It's the subscription box. Comes with complete instructions, with a binder to put them in, supplies, and the blanks, and the files to do each project and learn your Cricut one step at a time. Includes beginning, advanced, and intermediate levels for all projects. I know you're going to love it, and it's a perfect Christmas gift. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe and hit that little bell so you'll get reminders.